Hi, thanks for joining me. This is a short practice focusing on opening your hips in order to build Lotus Pose. So, Lotus Pose requires a certain amount of flexibility in the hips, in the hip flexors, with the external hip rotation and the internal hip rotation. So in our society, we tend to sit on chairs a lot of the time, which generally means our hips are pretty tight. If you practice these poses in this flow regularly, you should be able to open the hips enough to be able to sit in lotus pose without risking any damage to your knees or suffering any discomfort. So we'll get started. So we'll begin at the top of the mat in Samastitihi with the feet together. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forwards. Inhale, look up. Exhale, step back to plank. Core engaged, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward, coming into low lunge. So place the left knee down, maybe scoot it back slightly. Try and keep your right knee over your right ankle and sink down into the hip joints. So we're stretching out the left hip flexor. Keep the spine straight. Sit up tall, but sink the hips forwards. Take your left hand backwards towards your left leg. We're just putting a twist into the lunge, so keep sinking the hips forward. Breathing into the stretch, keeping the core engaged. Bring the hands down, tuck the toes under, and step back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward, coming into lunge on the other side. So scoot the right knee back and sink down into the hips. Take the right hand back towards the right leg, twisting around. Sink into the hips a bit further. Keep breathing fully. Take the hands down either side of your foot. Tuck the toes under and step back. Downward facing dog. Inhale, step the right foot forward. Bringing the back knee down again. This time we're going to take the foot out towards the side of the mat. And then take your right hand, putting it on the inside of your right foot. So you can stay up on the hands. This is lizard pose. Or you can try and sink down into the hip and bring your elbows down to the mat. So you can always use a block under your elbows. So really try and sink into that right hip. Coming back up onto your hands. Tuck the back toes under again and step back. downward dog. Inhale the left foot forward. So again, bringing it to the outside of your mat. And then on an exhale, coming down onto the elbows or bending your arms. Just feeling the stretch in the left hip. Trying to work into it a little bit more. Inhale, coming back up onto your hands. Tucking the toes under and stepping back, downward dog. So inhale, bring the right knee towards the right hand. So the right foot is over towards the left side of your mat. And then sink the hips down. And then as you exhale, walk the hands forward. We're going to come into sleeping pigeon. So try and sink down as much as you can, but kind of keep the legs active. So you're kind of drawing your right hip backwards and drawing the left hip forwards, trying to keep them in one line. So this might feel like quite an intense stretch in your right hip. If it's too intense, you can always bring your right foot closer towards your left hip, which will just ease off the stretch a little bit. Inhale, walking the hands back. Tuck the toes under, downward dog. Inhale, bring the left knee towards the left hand, so repeating it on the other side. Sink the hips down. And then exhale, walking the hands forward. So again, kind of thinking about scissoring the left hip and the right hip towards each other, trying to square them up. So see if you can come down a bit further, folding yourself over your left shin. Keep your left foot active and flex it. It will just help to protect the knee joints a little bit. Inhale, walking the hands back up, tucking the toe under and stepping back to downward dog. Okay, now we're going to hop our knees forward to the front of the mat. So just kind of hop or step them forward. Bring the knees together and separate the feet. So take hold of the calf muscles and roll them away. And you're going to try and sit the hips down in between your feet for hero pose. So don't worry if your hips don't touch the mat. You can sit on a block or you can use your hands to support yourself. And just try and breathe into the quad stretch. Try and allow your hips to sink down. Sit up nice and straight. Okay, take the hands back to the front of the mat and come up, stepping both feet back to plank, and then exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, push up to up dog. Exhale, downward dog. And inhale, we're going to step the feet forward, crossing them over, pointing the knees forward, and then you can sit down here or aim to pull both legs through. Okay, so we're going to move into a pose called cow face stretch. So take the left foot around, so it's beside your right hip, and then take the right leg over. So we're aiming to stack the knees on top of each other and trying to keep both sitting bones on the floor. So we can add in the shoulder stretch to this, because why not? So take your left arm, reach it up behind you, and then take your right arm and see if you can take hold of your fingers or your hand, stretching the shoulders out. So lift the left elbow up. Okay, and switching to the other side. So taking the right leg, right foot beside the left hip, left leg comes over the top, left foot beside the right hip. Again, stacking the knees on top of each other, pulling the tummy in, sitting up nice and tall, taking the right arm over between your shoulder blades and reaching up with the left hand. Stretching the shoulders out, sinking both hips down towards the mat. Okay, release the hands, unravel your legs. We're only going to tuck the legs in, plant the hands down, and then step the feet back. Chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, downward dog. And again, taking the feet through to sitting. Okay, so Janu Sirsasana, or head to knee pose. Pull your right foot into your hips. Let the knee come out to the side. Tuck your heel into your groin. Trying to make a right angle with the legs. So turn to face the left leg and inhale, reach forward. Look up. And exhale, fold. So don't worry if you can't reach your foot. You can hold your shin. Just try and lead with your chest. Look towards the toes. Inhale, come up. Across the legs again. Inhale, picking the hips up and step back. Chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, downward dog. And inhaling the feet back through. Janu Sirsasana on the left hand side. So hug the left leg in. Bring the knee out to the side. So focus on pushing the left hip back and down as you reach forward. Taking hold of your shin or your foot. And exhale, folding. Keeping the straight leg engaged. Keep pushing that left hip back and down. Inhale to come up. Exhale, cross those legs again. Planting the hands down, pick yourself up and step back. Chaturanga. Inhale to up dog, really push into the hands, press the shoulders down. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale the feet, back to sitting. Okay, so our hips should be pretty warmed up, pretty stretched out. So we're just going to try a half lotus forward fold. Again, don't worry if you don't feel ready to fold forward yet. So take your right foot, hold underneath, and bring it up and over. You're trying to get it in to the hip crease as high as you can. So if your knee is up here, don't worry, just put your hand under it and support it. Or if there's no pain, you can just let it relax. Try and let gravity open the hip up. If the knee is further down, there's no pain, you feel okay, you can reach forward, take the shin or the foot, and then exhale, fold. Inhale, coming up. Release the lotus leg. Tuck your feet in again. And step back. Chaturanga. Inhale to up dog. Exhale, downward dog. And bringing the feet back through. Okay, we'll repeat that on the left-hand side. So again, take hold of the foot underneath. It just stops you twisting the knee joint. Bring it up and bring it over. Try and settle it as high up in that hip crease as you can. Let the knee relax down. If it feels okay, inhale, look up, and then exhale, fold. So focusing on your breathing, keeping the knee relaxed, with the straight leg engaged. Inhale, coming up. And pick yourself up. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog, pushing the hips forward. Exhale, down dog. And inhale, back to sitting. Okay, so just to finish up, we're going to take a few breaths either with our legs crossed or in half lotus, or if you feel ready to give it a try, full lotus. So I'd say either pick cross-legged. If you're going for half lotus, maybe start with the right leg first, but remember to switch it up every once in a while to keep your hips even. So traditionally, the right foot goes into lotus first, and then the left comes on top. So again, we're looking to have the feet as high up in the hip creases as possible, keeping the knees relaxed, letting them come down. And then we're just going to sit with our hands in chin mudra, so index finger to thumb, sit up straight, tuck the chin slightly, and breathe fully. Okay. So one last time, tuck the feet in, plant the hands down, and come up. Stepping back and exhaling, chaturanga. Inhale, up dog. Exhale, down dog. Inhale the feet back through and lie down. So I hope you enjoyed the practice. So doing this every day will really help you work towards building your lotus pose. Little and often is the best idea. So try and commit to doing all of this practice or even just some of this practice every day, and it will make a huge amount of difference. Thank you so much for practicing with me.